Mm. Mm. Beautiful. My first live broadcast.
Oh. Hey, welcome to the Intimacy Dialogues. These are raw, authentic dialogues on the subjects of love and sex and conscious relating. And we're here in beautiful Bali. We're in my beautiful, outside my beautiful house in the tropical garden. And so these are, just to give you a little layout, these talks are coming out every 2 weeks, and I'm moving between dialoguing with men and women. And I'm chosen incredible beings who I feel have so much to share about the subjects of conscious relating and sacred sexuality. And my name is Sonja Shradha Devi, and I'm a coach, and I am a healer, and I'm a Tantra facilitator, and I'm really dedicated to providing spaces for people to get deeper within themselves so that they can bring depth and intimacy into all aspects of their life. And I was a devoted yogini for many years, really devoting myself to solo meditation. And really when I brought my presence and awareness consciously into my relationships, particularly my intimate relationships and sexual relationships, I found that, wow, everything got really up-leveled. It was painful, it was growthful, it was incredibly transformational. And so I'm very fascinated about these subjects. And so for that reason, I feel very happy and honored to be able to share this exploration. And so today I am joined by a wonderful present man. We're actually talking about the subject of presence. And I feel really happy to speak about this subject because I feel like it's something like such a wonderful subject to break on down into really simple terms. And I'll just say a little story. I was assisting on a 1-month Tantra workshop, and at some time in the workshop, the men and the women were separated, and the women were asked what they really want in men, and the men were also asked what they wanted in women. And all the women said, presence. We want our men to be present. And I really remember coming down with the other teachers down to the Shiva space, where all the men were, with this message, along with many other messages. And all the men were like, what do they mean? Why are they all asking for presence? Like, what exactly do they mean? Break it down for us. So I hope that in this talk that we get to break that down, that elusive, incredible subject of presence. And so first of all, I just want to say thank you, Richard, for being here. Thank you so much. I want to speak a little bit about my personal experience of you before I hand it over to you to share about your journey. So when I'm with you, Richard, I feel really seen and really treasured. And I also feel like every part of me is welcome. And, in your presence, I'm able to be really, really vulnerable. And just last week, you held me as I had a big cry. And so that says a lot to me about what presence is. And that's really what I experience in your presence. And I want to thank you for that. And I also would love for you to speak about your journey of how you came deeper into presence, and also your work, and especially your work around presence is love. Yeah. And so I'll hand it over to you. I'd love for you to speak.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. I wanted to just pick up on the story you shared, because when you brought up the question that was placed to women and they asked for presence, and then the question, for men, what do you want from a woman? And I have to rephrase the question in order to actually be comfortable with it, because
you speak up a little bit, just to make sure that everyone can hear your words.
So what arose for me when you said that, when the question was asked, is what I want with women, not from women, but with women, is that I want to be able to be so deeply authentic in my humanness and in my maleness that they can feel safe, that they get an honest reflection of what it is that's in front of them.
And inside of them.
And then discover what is inside of them and come back into trusting their own inner responses. That if I can be completely naked and honest with you, then you know what's in the field. When I get distracted and I simply own that I just got distracted, you'll be able to relax because you already reacted to my distraction. Something in you felt the departure from the intimacy that is here. And so what I yearn for in my relating with woman is that she can trust me, but it is not something I can ask of her. It is something that I have to ask of myself to be trustworthy. What makes me trustworthy?
Yeah, this is such a key point. Yeah.
Your heart yearns to be seen. Your heart yearns to have your womanness received. And if I can be the mirror in which you discover that humanness, that is deeply satisfying to me. Yeah. Then my masculinity has served its purpose. If I come to you, if I can come to you empty, without any demands, naturally your femininity will blossom.
I feel this to be absolutely true, and I'm also so intrigued why this isn't the normal reality.
Because we were trained to not trust. It's like most of us grew up in an environment where somebody will go, "I'm not angry," or something like that. And as a child, it's like your belly gets the messages like this is dangerous here, and then you were told it's not dangerous. And it's like, what do you believe? So we started to believe the outside. We started to believe the parents and the adults, and we got confused.
Yeah.
As children, we are coming from such a place of innocence, and that innocence began to be betrayed. First through the outside reflection, and then we started to believe it ourselves, that we were insufficient, or that there's something wrong with us, or we all have our core beliefs that are just what they are. They are beliefs, they're not really what we are. And so when we start to act like we are adults, but actually it's little children. When I'm counseling couples, and even in my own life, especially in my own life, I discover again and again that these programs that I began to believe in childhood, and they predate my adult relationships, but I bring them into relationships. And we've all heard this thing that, a man sees a woman as his mother, or maybe even as father. And all of a sudden we are not relating with each other, we're relating with what we've been projecting onto each other. And so intimacy is true intimacy is a way of peeling, of unmasking what's here. That if I'm not totally empty as I'm coming to you, all that has to happen is that I'm honest about that.
Yes.
That this is what I'm bringing, and then putting it down here. And then if I picked it up unconsciously again, I'll put it down again.
Yes.
But to just be honest about what I'm bringing.
Absolutely. And I feel like innocence is such a key word there. And what I'm hearing is that you're saying that there's beliefs and structures that we've picked up that are false. And in my own experience, when I'm kind of held under the power of them, there's a lot of fear about actually them being seen. Like so much fear. And this is why...
So the underlying belief for that is that how I am, it's not okay. It needs to be first, it needs to be enlightened, or it needs to be, I need to process something, I need to go to therapy before I'm acceptable.
Yeah, and but this is very deep, isn't it? So it's like I'm not even conscious of that fear. Like so many of these things are going on so low level in our awareness. And so it takes so much commitment to be, like, it takes a real commitment, I feel, to want to go and look at that and to have that revealed within relationship. It takes a lot of commitment because, as you know, it's like, it's quite painful to have those blind spots revealed in us, isn't it?
And it takes a willingness.
Yeah.
And I just want to speak to what happens when we don't do that work, when we don't take the risk of being exposed. And then you have
risk of being exposed. I like that.
You have this yogi background. I have a since I was 18, I started looking for enlightenment. An enlightened moment comes, the mind immediately goes, aha, I'm enlightened now. All this underlying unconscious stuff that is there in the body, in the emotional body, in the psychological body, that stays unearthed. It stays hidden.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of teachers, and I mean, just name any of them, and we will be able to point out where in their humanness they haven't done their work.
Yeah.
And it usually falls apart around sex and power, which are very related. And sex and power, because that is the environment in which the programs have formed. They have formed in a place of a power differential, where as children we're basically dependent on adults, and so there's a power differential.
Mm-hmm.
And we've internalized those things. Enlightened moments come in our growing up, and that's very seductive. With that seductiveness comes power. Then you have teachers who've had enlightened moments, but the ego comes in and hijacks that, and they believe they don't need to do their psychological work. And then you have little children sitting in big chairs acting as enlightened people.
Mm.
And in the meantime, as soon as they get to the bedroom, and the relationship is where the rubber hits the road, and they act like little children again.
Mm-mm.
Not in their innocence, but in their way of trying to manipulate.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that humanity and all the different contracted aspects of humanity really needs to be brought to light within the quest for ultimate truth. We really need to go do the work of looking at actual the relative truth that's playing out inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, it's involved a lot of healing.
And I don't know that there's an end to that, John.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
The exciting. That's actually the exciting thing.
Okay, it's exciting. That's a great thing. It's an exciting
because
thing.
There is no end point to it, and I get to, through this reflection of what happens in relating, I get to discover who I believe myself to be. Even the unconscious beliefs start to come to the surface, and I get to discover and actually love this. Not in some idealized way, but actually love all of it.
Yeah.
It's like I have these hangouts, I have these pimples, I have these unconscious arenas. I'm willing to keep revealing, I'm willing to keep unearthing what is there, and be seen and discover what actually happens.
Yeah.
So just before we started the podcast, in just this little exchange we had, I'm coming to this recognition that, in my background, I was trained as a priest. I lived in a Bhakti yoga ashram for 15 years and fell into that role. And when my emotional body finally revealed itself to be different from my idealization of who I wanted to be.
And could you explain that a little in more simple terms?
Okay, I'm just going to...
How did your emotional body reveal itself?
I could not follow my vows. I took a vow of celibacy. I was celibate for 7 years. Then I became a householder. But even in household life, in the particular tradition that I was in, you're supposed to only have sex for procreation. There was no teaching of how to use the sexual energy in an awakened way.
Mm-hmm.
And I had broken my vows. I lived very dishonestly. And when I broke my vow, consciously, when I said, okay, I'm going for this, I basically had an affair, my heart opened. And when my heart opened, my spiritual practice opened. I couldn't chant anymore. Bhakti yoga means chanting. I would chant Hare Krishna mantra. And I couldn't chant anymore without crying my heart out. My whole spiritual quest flowered when I broke my vows. When I finally said, okay, I stopped idealizing myself. I stopped trying to follow or become somebody that I'm not. I'm just going to do this. And then in falling in love with that, and through falling in love with a woman, I all of a sudden recognized that I'm in love with everything. And whatever I had wanted to attain through my spiritual practice, and my spiritual practice may have been the foundation for that. Sure. I don't know that. I'm not going to recommend for anyone to join an ashram. it might be necessary, but it might not be necessary. But this is what needs to happen, where you actually accept the humanness as it is.
Do you
And
feel
that's
like
the beginning of presence.
yes? Do you feel like though that like the yogic practices, like I would say for me that it actually helped me to be aware enough to then be able to dive deeper into those layers. So I feel like they really were a foundation, but it couldn't just stop there.
Whatever it takes to come to this recognition of the humanness, just the humanness. Whatever it takes to come to the place. For some people, it is a frustration. They have been attempting for some state of perfection, and they're finally tired and frustrated, and they let go.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, because it, we hear these things like you're already awake, it's already here, and all of these things, and that sounds very nice. But the actual realization of that results in a stopping. When I stop seeking, when I stop trying to be something else, and I come into just what's here, then all of a sudden I begin to see for the first time without an overlay. And I begin to see what's in front of me. I begin to hear. And all of a sudden God is speaking to me through the birds or through some construction noise or whatever it is. And in that is really the beginning of realization. And that all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually I am okay. I'm not only okay. I am the mystery itself. I am love itself. But just look, I can put a sticker on my window that's on my bathroom mirror and say I am love. And I keep repeating that. It's not actually going to get me there.
Yeah, and this is what I'd
moment...
like to kind of go to a little bit because, we know that we're meant to love ourselves. And in my own journey, I've gotten to a deeper and deeper understanding of what that actually means. And it's only recently that I've kind of gone, oh. And so I would like for you to speak about the like actual visceral experience that happens when an aspect of yourself that has been so hidden and so judged, you didn't even know that you were doing that. It was so part of your it was like part of the furniture. You didn't even know it was there. And then you're looking into someone's eyes and she's looking at you with this look of absolute truth and love, and you begin to see and feel this thing. It gets revealed as well as all the oh my God, I'm getting exposed. Like, and the moment that, tell me about that moment.
So I don't have to go very far because it happened this morning.
Yeah,
again.
great. So
where my own inner harsh treatment of myself was exposed through my language. And my beloved pointed it out of how that felt to her, that it felt like a rape.
So she reflected to you what she saw.
What she saw. And I got to feel the pain of being in that role, of being bashed up. Through an internalized voice, my father, whoever that was.
And you hadn't known that was really going on?
I hadn't known, even though I spoke it out loud. The judgment was spoken out loud. Most of the time, it's not even spoken out loud. Once it gets spoken out, there's a good chance to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we get still enough, there's a potential of even noticing it before it gets spoken out. And the harshness of that. So the first response was to feel that pain of still being in an environment of judgment, being in an environment where I'm being scolded or punished.
Yeah.
And just to be able to feel that, and then if I don't resist that, if I just allow that to happen, it has its natural course. Because presence, or what I am in truth, sees that and starts to enliven all of it. That which has stayed unconscious comes to life and comes into the light of awareness and is loved, is accepted. And almost always there's an emotional response to that. And then there's just the innocence again. And I'm able to be here.
It's like it gets returned, like folded back in. Right. Yeah.
And in moments like that, if I'm held by others, that's beautiful. But even if I'm not held by others, maybe this can actually happen here. That I can hold this.
Absolutely.
Because if I just get used to being helped by others,
Sure.
again, that's a dependent relationship.
Yeah.
It really wants to come home.
Yes.
And then in the practice of that, we can actually cultivate that capacity of acceptance of what is here.
So what you're saying is like through another person holding us in unconditional love and acceptance, that then we can learn to do that for ourselves.
My innocence was revealed through a session. This woman gave me a session, and I'm laying on the table, and I don't know what happened, but I know how it ended up. I mean, I don't know what happened in terms of what she did. She saw me as innocent, I imagine. I began to see myself as innocent, and buckets of tears came. And I knew that I had lost the sense of my own innocence. Now, when someone hears that, and then people begin to, again, put a little sticker on your bathroom mirror that says, I'm innocent. The moment you say that, there will be all kinds of voices in your head that will go, no, you're not, and you don't believe that. It is not simple like that.
Yes.
We have to go through the territory of vulnerability.
Yes.
Of just admitting what's happening.
Yeah, and actually, I would say feeling the pain of it. Feeling the pain of what was blocking the knowing of the innocence. Like, that's my experience. I actually have to kind of burn through it. And that's usually through feeling quite a strong pain and grieving process. That's my experience.
So when all of this has happened, when our inner work, so to say, our practices, we can talk about that a little more in detail. But when all of that has happened, what it results in is a relaxation. And you were asking, what does it feel like on the inside? There is a quietness that happens. The chest relaxes, the belly relaxes, the genitals relax. Everything is returned to its natural functioning. And then in that relaxation, awareness, consciousness, whatever you call that, it just shines as luminous.
And then that actual subject that caused so much pain can be there, and you're completely okay with it.
So one of my beloveds, Grace, she said yesterday.
We share a beloved, by the way.
We
love you, Grace, so much.
Deeply. So she spoke of this innocence, and she spoke of the vulnerability as the gateway. She didn't call it the gateway, but I call it the gateway because on this side of the gate, vulnerability feels like vulnerability. It feels like I could get hurt. I don't know what the next thing is that is coming up. I'm letting go of control. I'm allowing the humanness to have its spontaneity.
I feel unsafe.
I feel
usually.
Unsafe.
Yeah.
That's part of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I'm here. And so on this side of vulnerability, it feels like vulnerability. On the other side of that gate, an inner authority starts to arise. It is seen in the facial expressions, it is heard in the voice, and that's on the other side. And it doesn't demand anything. It simply, honestly reveals what's here. And in moments like that, it's obvious there isn't even anything to fix.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There isn't even anything to attain.
Yeah, and this, you are already awake. You actually feel it.
Yeah.
It's not a concept. You actually feel it.
So until then, you don't need to repeat that. The moment you hear yourself say this sentence, I'm already awake, you're deeply asleep.
Absolutely.
That is a nice indication to just relax.
Yeah.
What does that mean to be awake?
Yeah.
And then to stop. And stopping is really just this stopping. Not trying to do anything. If I'm already awake, is there anything that would stop this awakeness? Well, right now there isn't. Right now I can feel my breath, and I was able to even sense your breath. I can hear the quietness, even the little sound of the fan of the computer. Just all of it. And all of the environment, including my inner environment, are in harmony. Because God has arrived out of this trance of being separate. It's so simple.
It is really simple. So isn't it extraordinary that this can feel so blocked from our experience? I'd like to speak more about that, and perhaps your experience of being a man and what has blocked you from being able to be present as a man. I mean, I really like people who don't have any idea about any spiritual concepts to have an understanding of what is presence.
When I posed the question of what is presence to a class once, my teaching partner and me, we taught a class called the presence of being. And when we asked the class, maybe 20 people, what is presence? We were surprised to hear the answers. Like, when I'm rock climbing and I don't have a rope and, every move could cause me to fall, I'm really present. And they were all examples like that of when we're present because our survival mechanism is causing us to be completely alert. But that is a presence that has a lot of tension in it. Yes, it is presence. But it is coerced, or the presence is literally induced through a life-threatening situation.
Gotcha. And people have to do extreme support.
And that's why people do extreme sports, because it actually gets them present.
Yeah.
Try to climb Mount Everest or whatever.
Yeah.
And what we were attempting to speak of is another way of being present, which is what we're talking about, which is where the humanness is so deeply accepted, where what I am, not in just a spiritual way, but what I am as person, as this face, what I am as that which is speaking, that is innocent, that it doesn't have to hurt. Something starts to relax. And it can happen, with a therapist or with a friend or with someone that is in that place of unconditionality. And we call that transmission, because what is being transmitted is an unconditional acceptance. And in that acceptance, the whole nervous system starts to relax.
And I would say that when there's a combined intention to really inhabit and accept and explore everything that's going on in the field, that this becomes this very deep, alive, full experience.
From that relaxation, everything is possible, and aliveness.
Because you can actually hear it. This is my experience. Like, I can actually, as I get more aware of my body, I would actually put it that simply, more aware of the deeper layers of my body energetically. There's so much going on in my experience, like so much. It's so rich. I don't need to do extreme support sports, just actually being with what is going on. And then when I attract other people who can meet me in that space, there's so much happening. And, we can really achieve is really the wrong word, but reach incredible, blissful experiences, painful experiences, like the whole spectrum. So not needing something else. And I would say that, yes, it comes from a very deep relaxation into what is. And I would also say that it's like a deeper listening and a willingness to listen to the subtle qualities of experience.
Yeah. And that is something that can be cultivated, I believe.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's worthy of cultivating that.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about how can that be cultivated.
For myself, through movement practices that don't have a given form. I don't practice yoga anymore the way I used to. I just allow for, we call it free fall, in front of me, being engaged in this practice of just allowing the body its natural movement. Really just sitting, and not even to wait. I mean, a meditation cushion is great. It's a wonderful encouragement to stop. But to not even wait for the meditation cushion, or maybe while somebody is viewing, you just notice that they're sitting, notice their weight in the chair, notice that the breath is moving in and out. Any moment like that, and there's many moments like that throughout our lives where we are just present. And then to bring the mind into that as well, and maybe to even narrate what my experience is. If I'm feeling a strong emotion, what am I actually, what are the sensations of the emotion?
Yes.
Rather than being angry, and angry always means angry about something. Yeah. To just feel what, how is, instead of making it wrong, but also not insisting on it, that I'm angry. You know, to just like, I'm angry and my chest is heaving, I feel this nervousness in my belly, I feel this flutter in my belly, and just staying with the physical sensation, literally letting the body become the object of meditation.
Absolutely.
And you know, you can meditate on a candle or on sound, or there's so many ways of bringing your attention to something, but bring the attention back to the sensations, bring the attention back to the senses. And then maybe even going a little deeper, like if you, right now, if you just allow yourself to be present to the touch that's happening on your left arm and the chair you're sitting on, just notice the contact length of the chair. And then to go even a little deeper and to bring attention back to that which is noticing all of that. Just notice the noticing. And just what happens, you get completely still. I can see you dropping, my thought of like it dropping in. And to marinate here in this.
What was really interesting is as soon as you said that, I felt like, oh, I've got tension in my belly. You know, it's like as an opening happens on one level, I can feel deeper into what was going on. Like aspects of my experience which were hidden and unconscious become conscious. And as I bring my experience to my lower belly now, oh wow, there's tension. And as I feel that tension, because I'm not resisting against that tension, I'm not like, oh no, I'm tensing my belly and I must be really blocked. Because I'm just noticing it, I can feel it. Oh, it's just kind of naturally relaxing. And then more space opens.
So this is what presence does.
Yeah, exactly.
You're attending to it, and then it becomes alive.
It becomes alive.
It has done its job. It called your attention to it, and it begins to shift. It's just like little children. You give them a moment of attention, and they start to relax. And if you don't give them attention, they get louder and louder and louder because they want your attention. Yeah. So the inner life, to attend to it, just like that.
Yeah, and then it really does. It really does kind of resolve and move into different manifestations.
And then, that is a worthwhile spiritual practice.
Absolutely, that is basically my practice. Yeah, and it's true. It can happen on the mat. It can happen absolutely anywhere. And I'd love to move into where that happens in intimate relating, because I found that that's incredible. You know, to be able, it's one thing, it's incredible for me to be able to feel this in my own experience. And that's so full and so incredible. And I'd say I feel very self-fulfilled most of the time, because there's so much to notice, and there's so much going on, and there's so much healing and dissolution and opening happening like, continually, because my awareness is so with this process. Without any effort at all. And when I meet with another being like yourself, who is, it's like opening up even a greater space for that experience to happen in. And what I find in that space is that things move quicker, as in the openings happen quicker. More is revealed. I'm able to see myself through your gaze. I'm able to love myself, the parts that I couldn't love myself. Through your gaze and through your acceptance, or through your non-acceptance, I can see things that I couldn't see. So I'd love for you to speak more about.
So as you were speaking, and as I'm relaxing deeply, what arises is that there is a natural polarity, a magnetic polarity, masculine, feminine, and we have both. I have my feminine, my masculine polarity within myself. When I enter your space, and all of my body is in this place of I'm here, where I am in my face, in my chest, in my arms, in my solar plexus and belly, where I'm really in my root, in my genitals, in my sit bones. And I can be really present with myself, and I walk into that space that we occupy together. And your beingness doesn't stop at your skin; it radiates out.
Yes, very
When
important.
we come into this place, when I come into this place, from the place of full embodiment here, I can begin to give you attention. And that attention will be without any demand because I'm already full.
Wow, that's so key.
And
Yeah.
when I can be, but it means a full acceptance of this face, a full acceptance of this chest, of this posture,
You need
of
to
this
be
voice.
absolutely sitting in that.
Sitting in that. When I'm able to be here just like this, I don't need to know what I'm bringing to you because I'm bringing everything I am. Not in an idealized way, in a human way, that anything that you can possibly feel, I have the capacity to feel.
Because you're open. Yeah.
And because I'm human. So it is not a state of perfection. That wouldn't be enough. My humanness is enough.
Yeah.
Because the humanness needs the humanness. So then when that relaxation happens, when you can relax, I'm relaxed, naturally the body starts to produce oxytocin, starts to produce all kinds of yummy chemicals that let you know what it's like when you're invited, when you are welcome, when you don't hesitate any longer to be here. And that's ecstatic. That's the beginning of some very, and it's not some peak ecstasy. It is an ecstaticness of just where every cell in the body starts to vibrate because finally you're home.
Yeah, it feels like you're coming home. That's exactly that.
It feels like the what is this? It is done.
Yeah.
But finally.
And it's like, oh, and within that, and I see this in, like, you know, the workshops and retreats. It's like where when people feel utterly, completely welcomed, it's just incredible what happens to them.
So when you like when you bring up the word workshop, you know, I was a workshop junkie. I've been teaching workshops for many years. I immediately this alarm comes up. But then when you speak of what happens if you can relax and be what you are, if we can just come to workshops like that, where nothing
and only
else,
come when you feel called as well. You know, like not like another workshop to do something,
do something, and to attain something.
Yeah.
But to come into an environment where you are welcome, where you feel that you can relax, where you feel that you can be yourself without pretending.
Yes. And I would say that everyone is yearning for that. You know, even if they're so stuck in pretending, like, I feel like everyone really wants to stop pretending. Ultimately, yeah. The masks are not comfortable. So
this is my hope, like for this interview, you caught this, and my hope for this is that people who are watching, they can begin to self-reflect. They can begin to even just sense what it would be like. And the mind is beautiful in that way because it's good at pretending, it's good at imagining, and imagination is beautiful. Imagine what it's like if you were just okay, like this.
You're just completely accepted and loved.
And then just a deep sigh. And in a moment like that, it's very simple. That's very not some difficult to attain state.
It's moment by moment, isn't it? Because also when we become more relaxed and do feel more accepted and safe within ourselves, then the deeper stuff that we couldn't hold before, which would have been too terrifying, then has the chance to come up.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about trauma here because I see that trauma is one of the underlying reasons why we can't relax, and especially in the sexual one, because so much trauma has happened there. Boys are being circumcised, one of the first sexual act was pain, trouble. For so many messages. You know what it's like for a woman.
Yeah.
And a woman coming into her sexual nature. And it's just like all the images are displayed and they all say, sex, sex, sex. But then
And the level of true, authentic guidance is so
low. Yeah. So in the realm of sexuality is where the rubber really hits the road, I would say. And it's the realm in which we were formed.
We should speak.
Okay.
Because it's so great.
I have the tendency to go into this place of vulnerability and then I start to whisper because it is so.
Yeah, but also
like
it's coming from
secrets.
it's coming from so deep inside that I completely understand.
Yes.
But then I really want to make sure that everyone can hear you. Yeah.
So the very realm of sexuality is where this has come from. It has come from a sperm and an ovum coming together. It has come from the essential masculine and feminine principles to come together to form this. So when the polarity is polarized out as male or as female, we enter this realm, and if we enter it consciously and in a relaxed way, this realm reveals the mystery of what has caused this very human being to look at another. That's a big deal.
Can you say that in a different way?
Simple. Yeah. Where when I'm really like, in order to actually truly speak of this, I notice my root is being activated right now. It's shaking. There's a tremor going on because we're speaking of an environment where the polarity of masculine and feminine is coming into their physical essence, as semen as ovum, as the penis as the vagina, as the womb. When we bring our awareness there, when we allow for that to do it's a magnetic connection, a magnetic contact between you and me, which is actually between me and the world, between you and the world. If I can really embody the masculine principle, and the masculine principle is emptiness, consciousness that is completely still and empty, that is just here.
Free of agenda.
Free of agenda. Just as itself. Then it invites the feminine polarity to do her dance. And she, in her essence, is everything. There's a beautiful quote. I think it was Nisargadatta Maharaj. He said, "Wisdom tells me that I am nothing." And he says, "Love tells me that I am everything." That's the masculine and feminine. And my life moves between the two. That I can come to you accepting everything that I'm bringing. And yet I'm coming to you empty. But that is the most I can contribute in a masculine way to this field.
And I would say also empty and full. Because,
full because that's my feminine.
Yeah.
Total acceptance.
But you're fully there. You're fully, completely there in your emptiness. So I think it's just a key to point that one out.
And the nice distinction, because some viewers might have, I love David Dita, and yet the Ditaism has resulted in this man who believe that they are present, and and it's this stagnant, rigid presence. And no, but there is a feminine quality to that, which is that I am present in my fullness. And you're present, you're also empty in your essence and full. And that fullness in your physical appearance, in your physical manifestation as woman, has a leaning towards fullness, towards everything, towards like your body was made to, you're equipped to create other human beings. All your womb needs is already there, except for a sperm. The sperm is really tiny, a tiny, 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 tiny speck. And after that, after conception happens, your body can make a human being. All you need is a little water, good fresh air, good food, and that's it. Love. and it can create a whole nother human being.
Yeah.
That is the essential quality of your feminine. That means everything.
Fullness, flourishing.
Flourishing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I can feel like when I'm met in with that kind of presence, then it's just amazing what starts to happen in my being.
You don't have to control anything
anymore. You don't
anymore.
have to control anything, and don't have to make anything happen either, because it's just happening.
Yeah. So the magnetic polarity, that flow of magnetic energy, is already there. And it doesn't even matter, whether we are with a man or a woman, or two men together, two women together, or that polarity it's already within itself, and then it is with another. If you break a magnet apart, you'll notice, there is a positive, a negative pole in every aspect of the magnet. So it's the same here. However, in the sexual realm, when your heart's yearning to just be woman, because she hasn't been met yet, when it is met,
when he said that,
that's what happens.
It's amazing, yeah.
And it becomes ecstatic, because naturally you are ecstatic already.
Yeah.
You don't have to rub something or stimulate it.
Yeah.
No, it's just the environment of the polarity, when it is held like this, it finds its natural juiciness.
It really
it's
does.
Natural bliss.
Yeah.
And it is nourishing. It doesn't have to reach some peak in order to find some fulfillment. It is just that in the experience of it, in this moment of relaxation, in this moment of you feeling woman, how beautiful that is. And you know what? That's all the male craves for.
Really?
Yeah.
And what is it that makes him think? I would say that he needs something else than that.
The addiction to orgasm.
Yeah. Which would also be an addiction to what? Like, what would
To
be
the
underlying
release.
that?
The French language has a beautiful way to describe orgasm. It's called the little death.
But would you also say that's just like an addiction to stimulus? It's addiction to something rather than nothing. Yeah. And
but you see, in the moment, there is so much tension build up before an orgasm that when a climax happens, the release is so tremendous that there is moments of emptiness where even the mind stops, and and then what happens after that? Smoke a cigarette or get distracted because you can't maintain this.
So it's not essentially wrong, but you just can't maintain it. And if you can bring that quality in a much more smooth way that comes all through your life and all through your body.
So I'd love to talk about that, because when I'm in an environment where it is just a movement towards pleasure and release, an addiction begins to form for that. And and if I can't have it with you, I'll masturbate, I'll watch porn, I'll try to reach that place again and again. I think if you teach rats to if there's a trigger, an orgasm trigger, they'll be on it all day long, but it wears out. It just, because it's an artificial way of just triggering this release from the pressure. If we don't even go into the arena of pressure, if we just stay in where we meet, if we just stay in cultivating the contact.
Yeah, and that spark of electricity in the polarity, staying with it without having to amp it up or.
And that doesn't require sexual stimulation. Like
it's true. It's like if we just do like a.
It can happen in a dance.
Yeah.
Or it can happen when I walk in the room.
Yeah.
It can happen
it's
through
true.
words.
I mean, I think it's interesting because it can happen when someone just walks through the room, but only if they're, for want of a better word, really present.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what I'm kind of interested in. Like, wow, what is that thing? I think when we're covering it there, I would say it's been very there, very in your body.
So when I am in the addiction of wanting orgasm, that's what I will walk into the room with. And every moment, woman knows it, because I'll be looking for the next.
And like kind of
object.
A fragmented part of you,
Right.
just a small part of
Right.
you, kind of like looking
Right.
kind of part.
If in my practice of arriving, in my practice of relaxing, in my practice of accepting, I have come into an enoughness, and I come into the field. In the meeting, and it may be with a tree. It may be just with the air, but especially with other. In that meeting, an aliveness starts to build. And that aliveness, the quality of that aliveness is inherently nourishing. So to slow down enough where we actually recognize that this is food. This is what we've been craving for. This is, when you starve a baby of this, babies can't survive actually without human contact. You can't have a machine do that for a baby. For a while it works.
So there's just something so nourishing about this field of presence.
So let's bring that into the realm of sexuality and slow down. And I'll just give you a little demo. So if our intention is to be intimate with each other, and we have this mutual agreement of going into a sexual realm, right? And I begin to, how am I going to become intimate with you? How am I going to even feel you, right? I can excite you and then meet you in your excitement while I'm getting excited, but are we really meeting?
Yeah.
I would have to stop. I would have to stop and actually just really arrive in my hand. And then begin to arrive in your hand. And all of a sudden he's so happy. And that's where the nourishing begins. You relax, you feel. And if we don't move any further than that, even if we were to then have sexual contact, if we can stay this relaxed.
Which I would say surrendered. Surrendered would be like, really feels like it would be a beautiful word for that. Yes. That's what it feels like. It's like,
because you need to surrender all your ideas about
sex. Everything kind of goes whoosh. Yeah, like, even just from now, it's in my mind, it's just like, it's like massive, and I'm just like.
So we were just using a thumb and a palm. When we connect, when the heart begins to connect this way, and the belly begins to connect this way, or then perhaps even if it is a mutual thing where the genitals connect in this way. My experience has been that the genitals reveal an intelligence that is fucking awesome, that is beyond, that can create life. It is an intelligence that has caused this incarnation to take place. If we get still enough there, and if we are in awe enough to honor that, to just witness this, magic starts to happen. It becomes so satisfying that when even the thought of an orgasm appears, it's like, what? It's like, it's insignificant.
Yeah, because it's so vast.
It
like,
is
why
so
would
vast.
You want one particular thing inside the vastness?
And there is a satiation that comes with that, from that is very deeper than any orgasm has ever given me. And, teachers like Osho called it valley orgasm, but just the very word orgasm already brings these pictures of this release. This is different.
And also ideas. Right. The word orgasm brings lots of ideas about what orgasm should look like, and also like, why am I having them, or how would I? And like, it brings a lot of stuff into it. I find,
So to just go back, so the first thing is how to relax with each other, how to feel safe, being in my skin, being in this environment. How to feel safe while I'm being seen, while my stuff is being noticed.
That's so huge. Yeah, it's
and
that's such a huge practice in itself.
And it's worthy. It's a worthy practice, because you may be standing in line at the checkout counter. I'm really present. People feel it. Everyone is hungry for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone is wanting to know that they're okay, that they're invited to be here because they're already here. While they're watching a movie of wanting to be somewhere else.
So true. Wow.
This is fun.
Yeah.
So they are practices of just noticing, of learning to relax, little by little by little.
And then also, I would say such a potent aspect of it has been for me is to then voice it.
Yes.
Yeah, like the first time like a man looked into my eyes and said, "I'm feeling really vulnerable, but blah 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 blah," blah whatever his issue was. I was like, wow. I was blown away. I was completely blown away.
It opened and touched you.
Yeah, it really did. I was like, wow, this is completely a whole new realm. And it really was a whole new realm. And I find that every single time I'm able to notice something inside my experience that I find really difficult to accept, and then to reveal it in a space that feels safe.
So to consciously create safe space.
Consciously creating safe spaces, yeah.
Like you created the space for this. You let me know what this interview is about.
And I actually had to feel I had to do so much work on myself to feel safe enough in myself to be able to do this. So I think that's
that exposed.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have to do a lot of making myself feel safe in order to even contemplate turning the volume up and exposing myself on a deeper level. So I think that's something I want to make clear, that there's so much work that we need to do. Work, for want of a better word, that we need to do with ourselves. And I mean, I've really practiced looking at myself and feeling safe in my triggers, just like being with her.
Does it become fun already? I mean,
not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning. It's not fun. Yeah, it feels awful.
But after a while, it's just like on my way here, I knew I would just expose myself, and it starts to be
a bit exciting. Yeah, it does. It's true. Oh, that's all right. I'll let that go. Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, intimacy and revealing ourselves and getting to know ourselves becomes like an adventure, like a beautiful adventure of revealing. Like, yes, I really resonate with that. It gets more exciting and less terrifying. But then I also find that every time I go through a terrifying bit, there's always something so incredible on the other side. Incredible expansion.
So getting used to entering this realm of vulnerability is a practice.
Yes.
And after a while, it's like the nervous system gets it. Just as an example, like sometimes I used to work at Hard and Hot Springs before I burned, and I would walk towards the session, I would walk towards the pool, and I'd have these moments where I felt so utterly like not knowing who I am, not knowing what I could possibly be bringing, not knowing why anybody would sign up for a session with me, literally.
Really?
Yeah. In spite of having this reputation, I would go into this state, and I used to call it, I was feeling stupid. I had to really come to terms with that, where I'm like, my legs will keep walking, yeah, but inside I'm like, wow, I don't know.
But that sounds like an empowered kind of stupid, though. Huh?
Yes, it is. Well, after a while, it becomes that way. And after a while, it's like every time I would feel that way, an excitement would build, because I knew this is the perfect foundation for an incredible experience that I am sharing with another. That I would feel so blessed then to be offering this work of creating a space with someone to deeply relax. And I started to recognize, my mind even started to get it, that this is what usually happens before. It has morphed again. It's just, it's more just excitement now. But it still happens where I'm like, it usually happens when there is some idea of, I need to perform, I need to be in this role.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, coming here, there was a thought on this scooter that I don't really know what I'm doing. And then the knowing is right next to it of, and that's enough. That's actually the perfect way to let something authentically arise.
Yes.
So the things that I have been avoiding, especially as a man, and let's bring it back to men and bedroom.
Yeah, I'd love to.
A man coming into the bedroom needing to know, where the anatomy is and how to do it and how to get you off and how to be the perfect lover. Pressure. How can your penis function in in an environment of such pressure. To just come in and to know that this is enough, whatever is here. I don't have to figure it out. That is a completely different attitude. And it is a vulnerability. And coming into the room like that, and actually I don't know who I am, because what I am keeps shifting, keeps changing. So deeply, especially in an intimate encounter. If I am just here to give you something, wait a minute, your feminine heart can't give anything because there's no receptivity. What does it mean to be receptive? It means I will be changed. That if I walk into the room and I am open and present, it means I'm receptive. Being receptive means that whatever is coming into my system is going to change this.
So a willingness to be transformed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so and within that transformation, there are those moments of like, I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
I'm lost. And that could, I imagine for a man, that could be felt as like, oh, I'm out of control. I don't,
because you are.
Yeah, exactly. And how terrifying and how wrong, and how much I would like to avoid that experience.
So it goes against all the cultural conditions.
Yeah.
And it goes back into a realm of being in the mystery and being changed by life.
And, in your own personal evolution as a lover, I mean, could you share one or two key moments where you saw yourself able, like, stepping into another realm of experience? Like, I'm really thinking about the people who are, on the journey, And if there's like a couple of key moments that you could offer to them.
It's like what arises is so it's an advanced thing that, and it's around the same subject matter, where I'm just going to speak on behalf of the feminine. When you are receptive and open, and a man enters you, like if a man climaxed inside of you, a fluid would enter you that could cause a human being to form in your womb. That's how big it is. That's how mindly open. Even if we were to not want to procreate, I keep just using that as an example to just show how big it is, how important it is, how vast and potent and powerful this is.
Powerful. Yeah.
The same is true for a man. If I am really open, and there were moments, particularly with one lover, where I became so receptive that it felt like a substance was entering me through my root. And this voice appeared in my mind that said, if you let this in, you will be changed forever. And I said, go for it. And let it in, and let it transform me, and let it do its work. It was like becoming pregnant. So moments like that, but this is just like a very dramatic moment.
Right? Yeah.
But that happens all the time. I mean, it's happening with us. Just you're asking me to show up with you on camera. Just this dance here, where I'm a changed human being. When I walk away from here, I won't be the same person.
And you're willing for that.
I'm willing for that.
Yeah, right.
And more deeply, because it's like, this is what life is. That I don't need to be in control of what this is to become. I actually wasn't in control about the DNA of my mom and dad. That just happened to, like, what did I sign off a checklist? I want this kind of nose. I want those blue eyes. I want this kind of chest. I did not. That was out of my control. And even if I believed that it was in my control, it's like there is no way to, and this continues.
And so you're getting more and more cool with being out of control.
Yeah, and being in a place of conception. The conception is not something that happened 49 years ago for me, 59 years ago for me. No, it is something that happens now,
Mm.
where this humanness is still being conceived and transformed, and probably till my last breath.
Mm.
I used to strive for this state of perfection, and that is softening.
Mm.
I no longer look forward to that.
Mm.
I look forward to breathing and living every moment fully and being open again and again. Just when I figured out who I am, to be open to something new, something that makes it exciting.
Yeah. And
humble.
often this comes through vulnerability, yeah?
And
Yeah,
it's
like
very-
the new thing is
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, there's another.
and it's
There's,
humbling.
yeah, it's humbling.
I just, even if I'm with the same lover again and again, day in and day out, year after year, I don't know who you are. And what is arising for you today can affect me in a way that has never happened before. Actually, this moment has never happened before. And to be that open more and more and more to life, that is waking up. That's what waking up is all about. To be so open that my friend David Kate said, there was a question, it's like, what is the most ecstatic moment you've had recently? And he was talking about, just driving his scooter and feeling the air and how it shifted from warm to cold and being in tears. He was crying on his scooter, he was crying, being so touched by life. Now that's receptivity. That's the beloved as air, as the atmosphere, as the trees.
And that's what I feel like comes when you're actually present to what's really going on, and really present in your body.
And so this is when spiritual practice comes into its fruition.
Yes.
Because the beloved is everything.
Yes. And I would like for you to speak about a little bit more about how it is to be with a woman who's really opening. Perhaps, I don't know, I'm not actually sure how to say this and pose this question, but
well, just can I?
Do you want to just run with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely intimidating to the male ego.
Wow,
because the male ego, the male ego holding on to some image of itself, literally, is a fabrication. You've created a movie character, and being in the truth of who she is, it will destroy that. And it doesn't have to destroy it if I'm open and soft and it melts. If it is not held in a rigid way.
So
it's terrifying.
So she's the opening. She's starting to just completely pop.
Right.
And you're saying that there can be a
the moment of falsity. She'll know it because she'll experience it in her being as a contraction or as a question, or she'll know it. And if she is allowed to be in her fullness, she'll confront the falsity. So the willingness to wake up to what is true, to what is real.
Yeah. And so I want to get back to just, there was so much in, really felt that you're saying that it's terrifying. And I want to say, I know you already said it, but I want you to say again.
It's terrifying.
What's terrifying? If a woman is like full power and her fullness.
Being dissolved. It's terrifying to discover that I'm not who I thought I was. It's terrifying to recognize that actually I don't have a clue. It's terrifying to be in the face of a power that is the power of creation, nature, herself, as woman, the earth, the universe, everything, as woman. And it's only terrifying to this idea I've held of myself. The rest of myself is liberated through that. But from the held male perspective, it's terrifying because my game is up.
Wow. And so what I'm hearing is that to have devotion towards that crazy fucking mystery that's going off, rather than having a reaction about what it says about who I am. Yeah?
And when I'm coming into a place of having gone through my own death again and again, through my own dissolution again and again, through my own pain again and again, when I'm able to hold that for myself, like the other day when we fell apart. If I haven't touched those places, I'll try to fix it. Oh, it's okay, you're fine, right? But that would have totally interrupted your process.
Totally interrupted it, yeah.
But to just be there with you, maybe to even encourage you, but it doesn't need encouragement. It just needs to be held with kindness, with acceptance.
And you also gently guided me to do that. You know, like you spoke to the little girl, and
right.
Whenever
I noticed that you were trying to, when you were getting stuck a little bit, to encourage you to let it flow, to trust it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then
not making anything wrong or trying to do anything, but just I think that is actually a really important point to make. Like, if a woman is she's already going for it, you know, that the energy is already flowing freely and things are expressing themselves naturally, not to interfere at all. And then, you know, only the possibility to perhaps facilitate that opening.
So not to interfere at all, yes, don't interfere, but don't disappear.
Yeah, that's huge.
Stay present.
Yeah,
because
it's so huge.
I don't know what to do here now. I'm out of here now, and my body is here, and I'm holding you in, but I'm like,
whoa,
wherever.
Yeah, that's so traumatic.
Oh, that happened to me, and I know how that is, and you've seen that.
Well, I think for me, it's the subtle judgment that can come of that experience. Yeah. That is truly painful, because if the judgment is coming from outside, it triggers your own judgment. Like, you know, these parts of us that really vulnerable parts are kept in there because we judge them so much. So when that's reflected in an intimate relating, it's extremely painful.
I want to voice something. I'm becoming a little concerned in a way where, here we are, you've had your yoga background, I had my 15 years of ashram, I had my 23 years of being a bodyworker and a therapist and a teacher. And it's like, does it take all of that to, you know, it's actually very simple. But yes, cultivation is important. And if you have the time and the energy and you want to, it's like cultivate. But cultivate this practice of just arriving. And the enoughness is already here.
Yeah.
And it is so simple.
Yeah.
And it's taken me so long to come here because I came from an incredibly damaged place. I was so deeply traumatized in my childhood that only in the last few years do some of these traumas find their resolution. And that's just what it took.
It's a beautiful point. Thank you.
It's natural to just relax.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's such a beautiful message that we're gonna move towards the close. And yes, it is natural, so natural to relax. And I love that it's brought back to such simplicity. Yeah. I'd love for you to give a message to the women out there. A message, a parting message.
Trust your body. Get deeply involved with your body. Check out what the messages are. Check out what's in the environment. If you have the sense that someone is not speaking the truth, instead of blaming them of lying, just say, something in me doesn't open, something in me doesn't believe you. Just take responsibility for what you're experiencing without pointing a finger. Full responsibility for this, but just be really honest and exposed and vulnerable. And that is your strength. When you are in that and someone comes close to you, you'll be right there in your power. There's nothing more powerful than true vulnerability. And then you can just say no, and the no means no, unmistakable.
Yeah. Because you can actually experience it without any question, because you're actually there listening.
And then your words represent what your inner experience is. Your body speaks its own language. And when the body speaks its own language, untranslated and whatever, when it's just raw, it has power. And it opens hearts.
Yeah. And one message for the men.
Admit your fear. I wish somebody had said that to me a long time ago. And trust your body. Come into a loving relationship with your penis, with your heart, with your belly, even with your mind. Come into a loving relationship and cultivate being present. Little moments, tiny moments, 5 minutes and 10 minutes more. And bring it in all relationships. Your relationship with your work, your relationship with your beloveds, your relationship with your friends. And just there to be honest. Just radically, ruthlessly honest. And take complete responsibility for your own experience. That's a similar message.
Yeah.
A little stronger for me. That's how I am with myself.
Oh, thank you so much. And sending out so much love to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for hanging on all the way to the end. I hope you received some of the juice from our dialogue. Yeah, sending out blessings and love to each and every one of you.
Namaste.
Namaste.